Hey guys, how's it going and welcome to the Mina channel. Today we're gonna be doing I don't know if you can call it a review as much as it is a talk about the Persona 5 anime. Now I'm thinking of doing maybe a whole podcast about this, but today we're basically gonna talk about the anime and talk about whether this is a good anime or not, good anime adaptation, so to speak, of the actual original Persona 5 game. Not Persona 5 Rojo, because it's a different deal there. But let's go ahead and jump into it. So, Persona 5 anime came out in 2018 back in Japan, but we actually didn't get a dub of this anime until now, which is crazy. It's been 2 years since the anime came out, and just now was released in the West as a form of a streaming service, or you can also buy the $300 collectible edition. Where you can have the Blu-ray and whatever else they added into it. This is crazy and ridiculous, but we're not going to talk about that in this video. Maybe at the end, I don't know. So let's go ahead and jump into it. So first of all, you can only watch, I guess you can watch the dub in Funimation, which is pretty good. I mean, it's a good service and everything. I don't really pay for it. You only use the 2-week thing that they gave me for free, so I can watch it. If you guys want me to watch more anime and review more anime, I'll probably buy it, but I don't know if it's worth it at the moment or not. So the actual anime itself, let's go ahead and jump into that, goes through this beats of the story of the original Persona 5 game, as I mentioned earlier. Pretty much beat by beat at the end, and they have some really long OVAs, which is almost like a movie, like a longer episode, in which it really covers the additional stuff of the ending and everything like that. So pretty interesting stuff. I'm actually not going to go through the actual story here as far as like what's going on and everything. I'm guessing most of the people that watch my videos know about Persona 5, and I'm basically really late for this review at this time, so I'm not gonna go through beat by beat or everything. Neither am I gonna discuss spoilers. But I do want to say that the story of it does not, I never really felt like Persona really translates well into anime, because there is a lot of elements that come across as really hard to explain. Some mechanics of the game, for example, the way that Persona users interact with other Persona users or fight shadows and everything. I don't feel like that's really well reflected in the anime, but it's never really reflected in any of the other Persona animes, whether it's Persona 3, the movies, or Persona 4, the two different anime that they have. It's really hard to reflect how the Persona using works and everything like that, and consequently it's really hard to show how it develops into anything and everything. So it's a little bit hard in that end, especially because these are dungeon crawlers. They go into dungeons and do all this stuff and everything like that, and it's hours of fighting and grinding and everything like that. Obviously, watching the anime is almost like watching a too long to read kind of stuff. Well, you're just kind of going through. It's almost, to me, it's almost like watching cliff notes in like an actual visual and everything. Now, I do want to say there's some props that I want to give about the anime. For example, there is a lot of fleshed out elements that never really took place in the game, in the original game. For example, the friendship and frenemy friendship that they have between Joker and, of course, Goro, who is an interesting character, let's say it that way. And it really, the anime does take its time to kind of flesh out the relationship within each other. Another thing that the anime does pretty good is they fleshed out the character of Ren, who is the main protagonist, and they really give him more personality and more stuff like that. Something that is always bothered me about the Persona games is that the fact that, well, sure, there is a personality to them and there is some dialogue options, you're pretty much a blank slate and you filling the shoes of the protagonist. Now, it's a little bit hard to do that when you're going into an anime adaptation, because you have to give them some kind of personality and everything, and I think they did a pretty good job based on what they had originally in the game. So I feel like that was pretty well executed. Let's talk about the animation. Animation has some issues. Persona animation has never been really good when it comes to the anime, which is weird because they're anime games. All of the games are based on anime or based on the anime aesthetic, but they base the anime based on a game, which is always pretty tricky to do. Especially when the animation on the games are really well done. In fact, the first animation that you see in the original Persona 5, which is the whole introduction of the game and everything, it's really well executed. There's a lot of light going on, there's a lot of movement, and it's really detailed, which is something that you don't actually see in this anime. And it's actually kind of one of the things that I don't like about the anime itself, is how poorly animated it is. There's a lot of scenes, and you've seen the memes, I think, at this point, because it was memed to hell back in 2018, and it was memed again back in 2020, now that more people are watching and everything. There's a lot of spots where you can see is really rough. There's a lot of really rough stuff. Now there's a lot of theories out there when it comes to that. A1 Pictures, which made this anime, does a pretty good job of animating really good anime. However, they have a lot of teams, and in my personal theory is that Atlas probably didn't put a lot of money into the animation, which is probably why A1 just didn't really put 110 effort that they usually do in some of the really good anime. Can't really think of one on top of my head, but they usually do a pretty good job animating stuff, and in this case there is a lot of really stuff that is really rough. In fact, one of the things that baffles me the most is the skin tones in between characters. When you compare them to the anime and to the game, there is a big difference in the way they look, and it kind of bothers me a little bit, especially Ren, the main protagonist. His skin is a little bit darker in the anime. Not that it matters to have darker skin or anything like that, obviously, but in the it just makes me weird. It's a little bit weird for me because I'm used to watching playing the games and everything. So when you go and watch the anime, you kind of have to adjust to that kind of stuff like that. There's a lot of issues with the background itself. The backgrounds are a little bit lazy on this one, especially background characters and everything just come off as like almost like blurred out things on the backgrounds. They don't even look like people sometimes, and it's frankly a little bit funny. It's pretty funny, but in reality it's kind of sad because this is a best-selling PlayStation 4 game, literally the highest ranked anime game in the not just anime, like it's literally one of the highest ranked PlayStation 4 games. So like it should be better when it comes to quality in the end. So it's a little bit there. Overall, I feel like they managed pretty well kind of the representation of what the anime is supposed to look like, or based on the game and everything like that. It does the job done, and you kind of get an idea of everything. So I'm gonna give it a pass on that end, but again, the animation is just not really good on that end. I just don't really see it as that good. Let's talk about dub versus subs. This is I'm actually not gonna get into it like that, but the original cast of the Persona 5 game is back again. They're doing the original voices on the games and everything. It's really good. In fact, this is one of the very few games that I'll say I like to play it in English. It's pretty good. Nothing to say about the Japanese one, which is pretty good too, and I played it in both languages and everything. So I don't have any particular preference on one or the other, but I will say Persona has always had really good dubs when it comes to the stuff. No, we're not going to talk about translation, but about the actual dubs of the voicing and everything. It's really well done, really well executed. Obviously here you can see the voice actors are doing a good job, just like they did in the anime, and I love that. It's really good. It really good work, and all the characters, it's good to see them come back and take over the roles and everything. I don't know if there's anybody that is missing. Pandemic and everything is still pretty good that they kind of managed to get everybody done and get the job done, so I really like that as well. Overall, I feel like this anime is a mixed bag of stuff. I don't think that it's worth the $300 collector's edition price that they're asking for. That's really bad. I can't even say how bad it is in like how the way that it came off and everything, but I think it's pretty bad. The anime itself is pretty okay. I'll say I'll probably give it a C plus. If we put it like that, it's like it's a C. Probably a C minus, I'll say maybe. So we're gonna leave it at that. We're gonna leave it at C, solid C and everything. I think that he did effort, he tried, but at the end of the day, it didn't really reach the standard of what the anime looks like based on the game and everything like that. But again, if you compare it to previous anime, it's still pretty bad because the Persona 4 Golden anime was pretty well executed, I think, even though there were some issues with that one. I'm not gonna get into in this video. And obviously, I cannot compare them with the Persona 3 movies because they're really good looking. They're really beautiful and really well executed. So I'm not gonna touch that in this video here today. But again, comparing to the previous Persona repertoire that we have at this point, this one's lacking in some different aspects. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this. If you're new, please consider liking and subscribing. Let me know who is your favorite Persona character, and would you like to see an anime dedicated to that particular character. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll see you guys next time.